is so exciting to welcome you all here to the 3rd Annual Show Jumping Hall of Fame Induction Gala.
Always giving us their best. The passion that we all have for the animal is so special. I believe that is what makes the sport so unbelievable.
Cedric definitely was a horse of a lifetime, both in the ring and in the stable. He was one of my favorite people of all time. We used to joke it was Bobby, Cedric, and then everyone else. But he understood about the sport. He knew that poles were not to be touched, and he knew when it was really important. He taught me perseverance right until retirement. He taught me to fight for every inch of every course, just like he did.
He was at the root of an immigration and apprenticeship network that empowered many to better themselves by fulfilling their own potential, while also setting the standard of horse care for decades.
Ladies and gentlemen, if we could just have your undivided attention for a couple minutes while you join and dig into your salads. We do want to start part of our program as you enjoy your salads, and then we'll get into our real program after dinner. But again, we thank you all for joining us. Here's Marty.
Good evening, everybody. It is so exciting to welcome you all here to the 3rd Annual Show Jumping Hall of Fame Induction Gala. This is the biggest crowd we have ever had, and we also have the most Hall of Famers here with us, with 15 in attendance here tonight. Later on, the history of our sport will truly be on display when we have a chance to meet these 15 legends of our sport and thank them for what they have done to make show jumping the great sport that it is today. Also tonight, we will present for just the 2nd time the Show Jumping Hall of Fame International Award. We will present it to one of the most successful riders in show jumping history, world champion, Olympic champion, and the only rider to win the World Cup finals 3 consecutive years, from Brazil, the great Rodrigo Pessoa. The culmination of the night will be the main reason that we are all here, to celebrate the formal induction of the 2 newest members of the Show Jumping Hall of Fame, the man who set the standard for what a groom and stable manager should be, one of the most admired and beloved people in show jumping, Pancho Lopez. And Margaret Dupre's great horse, Laura Kraut's gold medal Olympic mount, Cedric. To start things off, it is a pleasure for me to introduce the president of the Show Jumping Hall of Fame, a member of the Show Jumping Hall of Fame class of 2018, Robert Ridland.
There it is, it's circle. Thank you. Just so I had no idea I was supposed to do this until literally 2 minutes ago when Peter came by and said I'm supposed to introduce the board, right?
Right. If they're here, stand up.
And he writes so small I can't read any of that, so I had to borrow Mac's glasses. So here they are. Peter Doubleday, chairman of the board, thank you so much. Larry Langer, Sally Ike, and please, any of you that are here, which is almost all of you, please stand up. David Disler, Molly Ashkawi, Heather Carista Williams, Ann Krasinski, Dan Reed, Will Simpson, Fran Steinwaddell, Steve Stevens, Melanie Smith-Taylor, and Marty Bowman, Executive Director. You're already standing up. No. Just have to thank these 4 people in the audience. More importantly, Peter wants me, and we all thank you, those that have really helped us out doing this Hall of Fame dinner. They've been fabulous, and they get better every single year. In particular, the Wheeler family, who sponsored tonight's cocktails and open bar, Charlie Jacobs, who sponsored the attendance of all the Hall of Famers here tonight, Robin Parsky, and Beth Johnson. Thank you so much, and enjoy the evening.
Robert, we're going to talk to you about doing your homework. We know you're good at preparing horses, but good job, you knew how to wing it. At this time, I'd like to introduce, to lead us through the next part of the evening, the chairman of the board of the Show Jumping Hall of Fame, also a member of the Show Jumping Hall of Fame class of 2018, Peter Doubleday.
Thank you very much, Marty. And we want you to continue to eat your salads. The entrees are on the way in just a couple minutes, but we would like to just say thank you to many of our great sponsors we have as part of the Hall of Fame series. And if you're with us here tonight, we'd like to thank you. Wellington International, Lenore Brown, Director of Sponsorships. Also, Laura Shea, Tamara Macris, Creative Director. Again, these are our sponsors of our series this year, and we thank them all very much. Charles, thank you. Tamara, Charles Ancona, the man himself, Charles Ancona. Where are you, Charles? He's here tonight. Markel Insurance, Chris Norton and Josh Mullins. Palm Beach International Academy, Joanne Weiner, Executive Director. Thank you, Joanne. USHAA, Kevin Price, Executive Director. And we'd like to thank our keynote speaker to begin with, from Blenheim Equisports, Robert Ridlin, President and CEO. Way to go, Robert. Thank you very much. Washington International Horse Show, we have Mary Helen Shaughnessy, Executive Director, David Disler, Show Manager. Thank them very much. They hold our finals. Hampton Classic, Georgina Bloomberg, member of the board. Rood and Riddle Equine Hospital, along with LEG Colorado Horse Shows and CMG Sport Horse and the Kentucky Horse Park. Also like to thank, while you're eating your salads here tonight, Shelley Allen of Ethel for the boxes of chocolates on your table here this evening, each one of your tables. Claire Christie, who loaned us a magnificent bronze sculpture we have right to my left up here. You'll have to take a look at it after the show here tonight. Beautiful bronze sculpture of Cedric on display. We thank Jennifer Match, Susan Garrett, and Champion Floral Blankets by Susan for the beautiful floral blanket that will be presented on behalf of Cedric, on behalf of the Show Jumping Hall of Fame. Also like to thank those helping tonight: Craig Bergman, Kara Binder, Alex King, Heather Krista Williams, Kim Tudor, Denise Quirk. Big thank you to Vicki Valenti and Annie Patterson of Kind Media. And a huge thank you to the superstar of superstars. We're going to have to deliver some flowers to Liz Soroka. Let's give her a nice round of applause. Liz, come on up here for a moment. We want to get a picture of you with your flowers. She's very shy. Oh, very nice. Finally, now, before the entrees come out, we would like to thank and just mention about the various projects we have gone on in the Hall of Fame. Of course, the Hall of Fame conducts the Show Jumping Hall of Fame Jumper Classic Series, Juniors and Amateurs. This year we added a medium division to go along with the traditional high division. We also maintain the Hall of Fame inductee plaques at Rolex Stadium at the Kentucky Horse Park. Hope many of you get a chance to see them. And when needed, we replace the old and faded plaques with new ones, which we have done so. We produce banners showing a sampling of plaques, which are on display out at Wellington International, and you're amazing to see how many people actually stop and read the plaques, all about many of you in the audience here tonight. Great support from USHA. We maintain our museum, historical items at the Wheeler Museum. We produce the books showing the plaques of all inductees together with articles written by the Hall of Famers. Thanks to Steve Stevens and Liz Soroka, we have a Hall of Fame jump that ships around and goes to the many major stops as well on the horse show circuit. This year we unveiled our new Show Jumping Hall of Fame hats. All of you have hats in your little bags, and also Hall of Fame trading cards. We hope that they'll become a hot item, and we hope that they'll be very valuable at one time during all of our careers. So the trading cards are out, and they will be available. And most importantly, of course, we hold our annual election and induction ceremony, which over the years has been held on the field at the American Invitational, in the ring at Devon, Pennsylvania, and now here at the spectacular induction series and ceremony. We thank all of you for making this great night a great, great night. Thank you very much for being with us, and we hope you enjoy your entrees, and then on to our program in just about a half hour. Here, let's introduce and welcome Linda Allen. Well, ladies and gentlemen, before we excuse the group up here in the center of the arena, we'll just get one quick photo, and I'll kind of hop down. We'd just like to mention we did lose a great one earlier this year, and she was part of the class of 2007. She was in our first photo just 2 years ago, and I know she can hear you wherever she is. Karen Golding. Okay, stay where you are just for a sec. I'm going to hop down and get a picture, and then on with the show. Great to see everybody, and a great reunion with all the Blue Blazers up here, and we'll have more to come in upcoming years. And part of our program here tonight, as we will move into our first of the three categories that we will be honoring here in our program for our Hall of Fame dinner. And again, we'd like to thank everybody for joining us. It is so important to remember. And last year we started off with the International Award, and we honored Captain Canada Ian Miller. Well, we honor the all-time greats through an International Award on behalf of the Show Jumping Hall of Fame. Together we care for our sports history and help keep legacies alive and inspire the future generations as well. Personalities like the one we are about to recognize are the inspiration for a lifetime in horses. His name is synonymous with success in show jumping. His father, Nelson, represented Brazil in 5 Olympic Games. Truly a father figure. He started riding at age 4. Of course, we all know about all his career highlights, from Olympic gold, World Championship, 3 times to the World Cup Finals, and Championship, Pan American gold as well. His family means everything to him, as well as the great horses that he enjoys. His wife Alexa, daughter Cecilia, Sophia, and Luciana. I might say I do think of him every day back home when I'm cleaning my wife's Pessoa saddle. This is a way to say thank you and salute what you have accomplished so far, and we are hoping for an 8th Olympic appearance for 2024 for Paris. Feels that he did feel, when I called him up about coming to our beautiful banquet, he said, you know, I'm a little too young for this award. So, and actually Ian Miller has about 20 years on him, but I think he has a lot more in the tank. And ladies and gentlemen, for the second year for our International Award, on behalf of the Show Jumping Hall of Fame, we'd like to introduce and welcome to the podium Rodrigo Pessoa.
Thank you, Peter. For this award, I'm truly humbled and honored to be here, and especially when I see the lineup right here tonight is very impressive. It's the who's who of the sport in this country, and people that I've looked up to my whole career. So thank you very much for the award. When Peter Doubleday called me about receiving this award, I was a bit reluctant because usually that means it's time to go. Your time is up. Then he said, Ian Miller got it last year. A very prominent rider will get it next year. I will not spoil the name of who it is. And I said, wait, those are my childhood heroes. To be mentioned between them means really a lot to me, so I accepted the award. I've been very lucky throughout my career to have had tremendous support from numerous people. Firstly, my parents that always supported me right from the beginning, my friends, my family, some of which are here tonight. I've been surrounded with incredible professionals that have worked tirelessly day in and day out to support me and allow me to focus on riding. Owners have also had a huge impact on my career. They have given me the liberty to choose horses sometimes, sometimes to get it right, but also at times to get it wrong and not hold it against me or put pressure when it didn't work, and always stayed by my side. Without them, none of this would have been possible. About making mistakes, I always thought I learned more from my mistakes when it didn't go according to plan than when it all went well, because when it goes wrong, we have to look back and thoroughly analyze the cause of failure. It's hard to do, but essential if you want to win. When it goes well, you don't analyze as much, you just celebrate and move on, and you don't learn as much. Finally, the common denominator of why we're all here, the horses. These amazing creatures that enable us to do the sport, to travel the world, always giving us their best. The passion that we all have for the animal is so special. I believe that is what makes the sport so unbelievable. Along the way, there are no regrets, only incredible experiences, valuable lessons learned, friendships that will last a lifetime, and so many memories that I will cherish forever. Thank you very much.
Nice to know that he has to wear glasses like all of us. Congratulations, thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, to introduce our first of our two inductees, we'd just like to explain about the voting procedure. And the voting procedure with 106 voters and about 70 respondents this year. There are 78 people, including this year, that are in the Hall of Fame, 28 horses. And as a preview, we're looking just to take a look up on the screen for some great memories, some great photos of our first inductee. There have been so many great memories of our first inductee, Francisco Pancho Lopez. So many great memories, taking care of all the great ones. A real horseman from the Blackiston Ranch near Los Angeles. Jimmy Kahn, Hunted Inn, Plain Bay, Willow Creek Ranch with Elise Haas, just to name a few. And a very special guest here tonight will explain further about this gentleman's great career. As you saw up on the board, his smile was infectious, always with a positive attitude, and you can't beat the mustache, the sideburns, and the hats. That was all about Pancho. Now, we're hoping that everything can work fine, so just bear with us. We would like to show you a video. Pancho just had back surgery about 3 weeks ago. He could not make it here tonight. He promises to be here next year to wear his blazer very proudly. We feel that maybe he had some back issues with all those heavy trunks at Plain Bay back in the early days. Maybe, not quite sure. Let's take a look now, and hopefully this will work for all of you. This is from Pancho Lopez about 3 weeks ago.
Hello, everyone. I want to thank you for making this possible for me. This is one of the best things that ever happened to me. Back in the early 60s, I had no idea that I'll be here today, or even in it today. I'm so happy that, and thankful for you guys that make all this possible, so that I'm here. And I just wanted to thank all the people involved in this event that makes it so nice for the sport and for everything. And I just feel very lucky myself to be in it myself, and to be involved in it. I just wanted to make sure that everybody knows that when you work hard at something, it always pays in the end. And I feel like that's what happened to me. Back in the early 60s, I had no idea I'd be here, but I'm here today, these many years later. And thanks to all the people that made it possible, that gave me jobs, that gave me knowledge, to help me out with all the stuff that I've learned, all the things that I've learned in business. I have a special thank you to thanks to George Morris, Katie Monahan, Elise Haas and family that put me on to traveling all over the world. I got to visit a bunch of cities and countries in Europe and got to learn all the good stuff about horses and the business. Thank you to all the good grooms that I've learned from, and thank you to all the veterinarians and horsemen and trainers that helped me out through all of these years. Thanks again, and hopefully you'll be here in person at one point to say thank you to all of you, and I am very happy that it's all happening. And thanks again. Have a great evening, and I will see you soon in person, hopefully. Thank you.
Great video on behalf of Pancho, and he will be here next year. He promises. He's already booked his ticket. Well, ladies and gentlemen, at this time, I'd like to introduce to induct Francisco Pancho Lopez, Katie Prudhomme.
Thank you. Pancho was the most amazing man. As you can see from that little video, he had such a kind and gentle way about him that he made everybody feel good. He was so great to me. He was so great to all our crew who happened to be sitting there. He was so great to the parents and the students. Everybody who ever met Pancho loved him. I've known Pancho for 50 years, and I have to say in those 50 years, I have never heard one person say a bad thing about him. And I have never heard him say a bad thing about anyone. And that's pretty unique. I'd like to read you a little of his history. He came at 15 years old to the Blackiston Ranch in California. He worked with he told me, his adopted father, a man named Ramon. And if you think of this, he was 15 years old. Within 6 years, he had learned to speak English. He had gotten his CDL truck driving license. And he moved on to be manager for Jimmy Kahn, who was one of the leading jumper riders of that day. For years working for Jimmy Kahn, he drove the truck. Linda Allen's nodding, she remembers. He drove the truck, and Jimmy would show from the West Coast to the East Coast and back again, all summer long. Drove all over the country. And then later, he started working for Bob Hubbard, and he drove more all over the country. And then I met Pancho in the late 70s when he came to work for George Morris at Hunterdon. And he already, if you can imagine, at 26 years old, was loved and known all over America. Everywhere we went, everybody knew Pancho, and everyone loved him. I have John Madden to thank for hiring Pancho, because he heard that Pancho was no longer with Hunterdon and decided that we needed a top barn manager. It was the best idea ever, and I always thank John for that. Now, Pancho was supposed to be a barn manager, but he was so much more than that. He was my ground man, he was my groom, he was the vet, he was the massage therapist for horses and riders. He was a chiropractor, acupuncturist. He drove the van, set everything up, did everything by himself, advised the blacksmith, humorist, and best of all, he was the psychologist at Plain Bay. And he helped us all tremendously. So now I have to speak about Pancho's real value. He was first and foremost an amazing horseman. He had a way with horses where he had a sixth sense of what was going wrong or what could be made better. Oh, and you have to remember, that was in the day when there were no injections. There weren't coffin joint injections. You didn't call the vet, you called Pancho. What do you do with this horse? No long needles guided into the sacroiliac. There was nothing of that. He just kept the barn sound. We didn't know any better. Horses were sound, and off we went. And in addition to the care of the horses, Pancho managed our staff, our grooms, unbelievably. He did all the hiring and firing. I had nothing to do except concentrate on my horses. He made my life such a joy. He handled everything so that I could concentrate only on my horses, and I have to say, it was the best time of my life. All the successes I had in the 80s, I have to thank Pancho for all of that. He made it all happen. And I can't say enough about Pancho. I loved him then, I love him now. He's been the greatest influence in my life. So calm, so down to earth, so uncomplicated, so great with the horses. I want to introduce you now to a young man who was highly influenced by Pancho, and he's written a beautiful tribute to him, and I'd like for you to hear it. Richard Padilla. I'll stay here. I'd love to listen to Richard.
Sure will. Good evening, everyone. Pancho Lopez changed the trajectory of my life. It all started when I landed my first job at Katie Monahan's and Henri Prudhon's Plain Bay Farm during my high school summer break in 1990. As a 15-year-old boy from the streets of Los Angeles, I was initially captivated by the vibrant greenery of the Virginia countryside. Right out of the gate, Pancho drove us to our very first horse show in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. Henri and Katie finished first and second in the Grand Prix, and I was amazed, Katie. You know who won?
Henri beat me.
Uh-huh. The level of commitment and competitiveness that Pancho contributed to plane-based operation was astounding. Little did I know that this opportunity would shape my future in ways I could never have imagined. But first, a little background. Pancho's connection with my family goes back at least 3 generations. His family is from the same magical Mexican mountain village of Mascota, Jalisco, as my mother. It is a place where the work ethic is rooted in the traditional values of the hacienda culture, hard work, and cooperation. A little history here. After World War II, the U.S. needed laborers. The Bracero program contracted Mexicans to work in the agriculture department, so the breadwinners set off in search of a better life. When Pancho first came to California in the early 60s, he groomed jumpers alongside my grandfather, Cornelio Padilla, great-uncles Ramon Castellon and Rosendo Ruelas. I got to give them love too, guys. So this induction into the Show Jumping Hall of Fame holds deep meaning for my family. We not only understand Pancho's journey of discipline and dedication to his craft, but also appreciate his generosity of spirit. He was at the root of an immigration and apprenticeship network that empowered many to better themselves by fulfilling their own potential, while also setting the standard of horse care for decades. Pancho's successes and leadership were widely admired. In fact, his accomplishments with Katie were so highly respected. Check this out. The Smithsonian Institution spotlighted Pancho Lopez in an exhibit that celebrated successful immigrants. Pancho shared his achievements by cultivating exceptional horsemen as he set the industry standard while managing George Morris's Hunterdon and Playben Farm. Thanks to Pancho's tutelage, my uncle Jose Padilla and Luis Hernandez became George Morris's top grooms at Hunterdon. In fact, Jose took care of Rio when George rode to win, back then, the $1 million Grand Prix at Spruce Meadows. And as a matter of fact, I hear stories that my uncle was doing backflips at the Ingate without the joy. And Luis Hernandez went on to take care of Royal Caliber for Chris Kapler, winning Olympic and Pan Am Games gold and silver medals, as well as being awarded 2003 Horse of the Year. So that is the impact Pancho's had on all of us. Amazing, and it still continues to this day. My other uncles, Remy, Chuy, and Antonio Padilla, also worked under Pancho's tutelage and keen eye during the peak of George, Katie, and Henri's glorious riding careers. And they still talk about their favorite horses to this day, Katie. The Governor, Special Envoy, and Partly Cloudy, which was on the video that was jumping amazing just recently with Katie doing the Derby. Awesome. You may know other greats Pancho brought along. Juliana Arechiga, that was George's long-time trusted farm caretaker, and Oscar Amaral, that was at Plain Bay and the Firestones Newstead for years. No matter where they are, Pancho's proteges continue to set the bar of horsemanship everywhere, all over the world. A little bit on his style. Pancho's style of horsemanship was classic old school, no sophistication, old school. He not only taught us to pay meticulous attention to the horse's care, but also time management as well, so we could have multiple horses showing, so Katie could sort of flourish and shine, and for us never to be late to the ring. Pancho's impeccable eye for detail promoted care that was simple and consistent with proper leg care, physical conditioning, nutrition, paddock time, and a delicately cautious attentiveness when shipping. Horses under his management were allowed to be horses and live their best lives, which is fundamental to horses' success and Pancho's greatness. His calmness in the face of challenges was distinctive. He was a true gentleman, as he not only drove the tractor trailer that had the horse sticking out of the aisle, remember that, Katie? And dealt with vets, but also led his top-notch staff and served as Katie's confidant through her illustrious career. He was integral to her winning Rider of the Year 3 times, the American Invitational winner 3 times, and World Championship team win for U.S. at Aachen. Through it all, I always admired his character and his graciousness towards others. Guided by Pancho's example and with the support of my uncles, I set my sights on constant improvement to become the best version of myself. Thanks to them, I received an Ivy League education in horsemanship. Their lessons guide me to this very day. And then there was trainer Jimmy Doyle, another disciplinarian and taskmaster I worked under at Mr. Gumber's Scarrick Stables in Pittsburgh. Working for them allowed me to continue to raise the bar of horsemanship. At my first managerial job at the Saperstein Ranch in California, thanks to Jimmy Doyle, I felt Pancho's pride and support as he offered some advice and to keep me humble. And he revealed his true character by telling me this. He says, Richard, it is nice to be important, but it's also important to be nice. I'll never forget that. All Pancho's proteges have enjoyed many successes. For me, his leadership was the guiding force that helped me to achieve managing horses showing successfully across 18 countries, winning many Grand Prix in North America and Europe, including the Spruce Meadows Queen Elizabeth Cup, and placing at 3 World Cup finals. Also, hosting FEI Children's Finals and various jumping clinics. Working alongside other such acclaimed riders and trainers as George Morris, Jimmy Doyle, Ray Texel, Chris Kapler, Helen McNaught, Eddie Mackin, Marcus, and Meredith Michaels-Beerbaum. All of these experiences eventually led me to my current position, reuniting with trainer Jimmy Doyle and managing Georgina Bloomberg's road operation, as well as her New York Empire Global Champions team that I'm very proud of doing. This opportunity has been incredible, allowing me to work at an elite level alongside top horsemen and riders, continuously striving to grow and excel as a horseman and a leader. Some of the highlights include Georgina's U.S. team bronze medal at the Toronto Pan Am Games, as well as numerous major Grand Prix wins and placings, including at WEF and throughout Europe, as well as Global Champions Tour stops in Monaco, London, Paris, Mexico City, and Stockholm. Plus, Georgina's New York Empire team has also enjoyed multiple wins, including in Saint-Tropez, Hamburg, London, and Valkenswaard. None of this would have been possible without Pancho's influence. He has always been the standard bearer, the torch carrier, and the guiding light for peers, family, and especially for myself. Like countless others in our sport, Pancho has had an incredible impact on my career and personal growth. I am extremely grateful for his generosity, leadership, lessons, and above all, his true gentlemanly nature and unwavering class. Pancho's legacy is rightfully solidified with his Hall of Fame induction, and I will continue to look up to him and honor him as a role model and as a truly exceptional human being. Thanks very much, guys.
Wow, what a beautiful speech now, Richard. And as we get some pictures, Richard, turn around for a moment. Richard, hold on a moment. Don't leave. Now, on behalf of Pancho, who's a long ways away, Richard, be so kind to present this to Miss Katie on behalf of Pancho Lopez. Pancho Lopez, the newest inductee into the Show Jumping Hall of Fame. Ladies and gentlemen, for the grand finale here tonight, beautiful job for both Katie and to Richard. Thank you very much. And we are going to take a look up on the video screen for an introduction to one of the great ones. Let's take a look. and gentlemen, as we move into the conclusion of our evening here, a very special ceremony ahead of us. Of course, Cedric, 15'2" hands in height. He was a little horse that could. The very first impressions, of course, were the best impressions. I know as an announcer sitting at ringside, loved the horse, and I have to tell Laura and Margaret that I had to love the name as well. It was easy to pronounce. Very easy on the announcers. Spectators as well could relate to his name and his personality. Love and connection between Laura and this incredible horse was just amazing. A horse of a lifetime. And to show you how famous he is, before I introduce our presenters here tonight, to show you how famous he is, he has the only horse picture I have ever seen in an airport. And I'm not sure if you travel out of PBI a lot, and I'm sure you all do. His picture is on the wall outside the men's room in Concourse B. I'm not sure if that's a proud moment as well now for Cedric. First on the agenda tonight, we'd like for you to welcome to our podium the owner and the proud owner of Cedric, Margaret Dupre.
I'll be brief. Thank you for this special honor. Cedric is an incredible horse and took me to places I never thought I would ever go to. He will always have a special place in my heart.
Wow, that was brief. Thank you, Margaret. Had such a long career. Well, anyways. Well, ladies and gentlemen, let's welcome the second half of the partnership, Laura Kraut.
Thank you, Margaret. That was great. You know, I was joking earlier. I could talk about Cedric for hours, but I won't. I don't want to upset everybody. Cedric wants to thank everyone who voted for him. He felt it was such an honor to be listed with such horses as Gem Twist, Jet Run, Calypso, numerous ones. He would be here tonight, but he is enjoying retirement in Holland right now. So anyways, thanks from him. I am honored and really grateful to have had a horse that could be in this category. When I was younger, it just never occurred to me that I'd be standing here on this night talking about this horse. He is the horse of a lifetime, and I appreciate him. To talk about him, he was a tremendous jumper with incredible scope and stride. The feeling on him, I would love to duplicate over and over again, but sadly, it's not that easy. And he was tiny. I think it's why so many people loved him. He was very little, but he made things just so easy. He had the biggest heart. He was like the little engine that could. And yet he was scared to death of everything. I don't know how he did it. His flight instinct was incredible. When he came to us, he was a runaway. He would literally bolt and run. My sister, one of the first weeks we had him, had two hands on one rein, pulling him in a circle, and she's like, I'm never riding him again. He was scared of walls. Anyone who knew him knew that. Planks, the water. It was kind of pretty much everything we had to do. But he understood about the sport. He knew that poles were not to be touched. And he knew when it was really important. He taught me perseverance right until retirement. He taught me to fight for every inch of every course, just like he did. He taught me about teamwork and every sense of the word, and what a team he had. I'm going to start with his groom, Johanna Bertzoff. She was with him, yeah. I wish she was here tonight. She would love to be here. She was with him for 9.5 of the 11 years he jumped at the international level. And we used to joke, we called her his wife. They were husband and wife. She did everything with him, and it was incredible. She would put her chair outside of his stall and read a book, and she'd fall asleep, and I'd come around the corner, and Cedric would be laying down right by her in the door of his stall. Like, so when she would sleep, he would sleep. They did everything together. And actually, not long after he retired, she left because I think she couldn't bear to not have him with her. And I appreciate, really, I think none of what we won would have happened without her. Second to Johanna was my sister, Mary Elizabeth. She spent countless hours preparing that horse for me. He was difficult. I loved him more than anything, but he took hours of preparation, particularly when he was 9 and 10 years old. In the year of the Olympic trials, when he was 10, she would sit trot, I'd say a minimum of 2 hours on him, because going faster than that was scary. But she did everything to get him to where I could get on and do well with him. And the funniest part about that was that year, I think I did win the trials. And then we went to Europe, and she worked him in Europe for me. I think we were in Rotterdam and then in Aachen. She did all the preparation. And then when I was named to the team, I said, okay, well, great. We're going to have to get you credentials, and we'll get you accredited so that you can ride him. She says, oh, no. No, I'm not riding him there. I said, well, what do you mean? Of course you're riding him there. She says, no, I'm not taking that pressure. I'm like, well, wait. You're the one who's done all this work, and now you're going to put it in my lap. Thankfully, she was there. She did not ride him. She did make me do it, but she helped me, and I knew what to do. The next person that was instrumental was Nick. He really taught me how to get the best out of that horse. I think I'd never ridden a horse like this, and because he was small, I had this idea that I needed to gallop. And he said, what are you doing? You need to pull him together and make him wait and make him mad. And when I went through those trials for Hong Kong, I think I had time faults in every round, but I don't think I ever had a pull down. And that was what he said, teach the horse to wait. And for this, I am eternally grateful, because I wouldn't have gotten to where I did with him. That being said, Nick was also very skeptical of his abilities. And when I did win the trials at the end, he looked at me, and this is the truth. He said, you're not taking this horse to the Olympics. And I was like, well, I just won the Olympic trials with him. He says, oh, no, this horse, no, he can't jump the Olympics. And about a month later, I was in Holland. I went to a show. I was jumping a 1.45 class, and I was worried about whether I was going to do the speed round or not. And he threw me off at the third jump, and I was laying in the middle of the oxer, and I'm like, I'm not taking this horse to the Olympics. He's right. There's no way. But it was actually his saying this was what my stubborn self needed, because I was determined to prove him wrong. And thankfully, Cedric picked up on that. George Morris also was a big believer in the horse all along, and so they counterbalanced each other, but thankfully I went with George on that. His farriers, Arnie Gervais and Spud Allison from England, and Dr. Alex Ray and Steve Ingle, kept him in the best shape, along with countless other physios and even one psychic, but I'm not going to talk about that. But he was remarkable, because for all those 11 years, he had some very minor injuries, but basically he literally jumped at the highest level for that long, which says a lot about him. I'm saving his owners for the last, because without them, I wouldn't have had the opportunity to have such a horse. It all started with Peter Wetherill and Janice Aaron, who Janice is here tonight. I called them. I'd seen the horse jumping in Lumen in an little class, and I just loved the look of him, and I was lucky enough to have the chance to buy him. I called him, I said, listen, would you like to buy in? They did. He flew straight to Calgary. I went to see him in the quarantine, and Janice came with me, and we looked in the stable, and we couldn't hardly find him because he was that small. And I said, Kai, I really feel he was bigger than this, but he might have shrunk on the way. He was absolutely horrible. The whole month he was in Calgary. It was. I broke fences. It was terrible. He was 7. And Janice actually was the one who nicknamed him Monkey, which stuck with him to this day. So I credit Janice. Peter Wetherill was the most amazing owner, and I just can't say enough about how much we miss him and how lucky I was to have him on board with Cedric, and how grateful I am that he was with him in Hong Kong, because I think Peter enjoyed every single second of that adventure. And I truly wish he were here tonight. He was amazing. Sadly, he passed away in 2009. And Cedric was then left to his brother Cordy, at which point he had quite a few good years. He won 4 Global Champions Tour Grand Prix, which I was proud of, and numerous other things. He was amazing. In 2012, they decided they wanted to sell him, which was basically like saying, we're going to sell Bobby, my son. I was like, this is not going to work out well for me. Anyways, out of the blue, I had to say that he was for sale, and out of the blue, Jane Clark came to me, and she said, is Cedric for sale? And I was like, yes, he is for sale. And she said, well, would he pass the vet? And I said, I think. He's 14, but maybe. She said, well, I'm going to send a vet around, Rick Mitchell, just to do a general just trotting. And then if it all goes well, you'll have the money on Friday. And I was just devastated. I mean, I thought, how can this be happening to me? And even Nick was upset. But then I thought, okay, well, if it's for Molly or Leslie, they'll love him. So at least he'll go to somebody who loves him. And on Friday, the money came through, and I called Jane, and she said, come to my house. And so I went there, and I thought we were just going to have champagne, and I was going to congratulate her for buying Cedric. And she said, I want you to meet Cedric's new owner. And Margaret Dupre walked out. And she said, I was great friends growing up with Peter, and he would never approve of this horse being sold or leaving this country. And so I've bought him for you to keep, to continue with, and to basically keep for the rest of his life. So she was definitely a fairy godmother, and she could be the Hall of Fame owner. Anyways, Cedric definitely was a horse of a lifetime, both in the ring and in the stable. He was one of my favorite people of all time. We used to joke it was Bobby, Cedric, and then everyone else. The hardest part of retiring him was not that I wasn't going to get to show anymore. It was the fact that he wasn't going to be traveling with me anymore, and that I was going to have to leave him home, because he was just the most fun animal to have. Every day, Nick would be like, let's get out of that horse's stall and let's leave. I was constantly with him. The great news, though, is that he is one of the happiest retired horses ever. He is with his constant companion, Quick Study, Joey, and they are living their best lives. They're feral. They only come to me when they are positive I have something to give them. Otherwise, they don't acknowledge me. He taught me more than I could have ever taught him. And for that, I thank him, and I am very grateful for this honor. Thank you.
Well done. Thank you very much. And Margaret, coming up here, we have lots of goodies for Cedric. and for the proud owner and the proud rider as well. So we have a beautiful coolerette. You each get a ribbon. We have flowers. We have everything, trophy, you name it. How about that? Something to hang on the wall. And we hope that you'll take an opportunity to see this beautiful bronze that is located up here as well on your way out here tonight. So can you get a picture? I just have one final thought, so stay right with us for a moment. Ladies and gentlemen, one more time, Cedric in the Show Jumping Hall of Fame. Well, as a final thought now, and again, we know it's been a hard week and a hard circuit, and we appreciate all of your attendance here tonight on our Sunday night. We'd like to thank everybody for joining us. The inductees with their blazers, we got to get one more picture out on the hallway right behind you, so before you leave, make sure you go there. Thank you for honoring our past, present, and future. Next year's dinner will be bigger and better. Make sure you get your tickets early. You can see Marty Bowman here tonight. Thank you very much.